direction that I'm being pushed, Beth. But for those of you that are here, hi and welcome. I am going to give you a view of the mountain range. So I just wanted you guys to see my face to know that I'm real and that this isn't fake. All right. So here, let me zoom in for you guys so that what's up, DFH? What's up, Occult? All right. So thank you guys for supporting me and for showing up and for being here. We are going to talk about a couple of segments today. First thing we're going to talk about is the video I did earlier today. And then I've got a video that's coming out tomorrow. It's released over on Patreon. If you are a Rebel watcher or above, you have access to it. And we will be talking about that a little bit more in depth, which is a lot. It has to do with the demise of the dollar, and the fact that we're really being fed so much propaganda that when we finally get the truth, it's going to be a complete shock. And so instead of letting you guys be shocked, I figure I might as well bring some of the stuff to light. So let's talk about Elizabeth Warren and just what she said about Trump yesterday. Essentially, I think that because a quick research, if you go and you look up, it's like, okay, how did he do this? What did he do? I mean, if you go if you go search, whether it's Google or you use an AI bot like ChatGPT or Grok, either one of those will give you a decent answer, and you can go and you can check the answer and read the article yourself. But Trump is not doing this isn't a state of emergency. He's using a different power that was given to him in the 60s as part of the Cold War. And so to say that what he's doing is illegal or that he doesn't have any power or that it's fake, essentially they're trying to take a page out of his playbook and use his own propaganda against him. I'm not on one side or the other when it comes to politics. If for those of you that have been watching me long enough, you know that I'm not very political. I don't want to participate in the con, but we do have to deal with the consequences of it in our daily life. So this is something that we got to pay attention to. Is this a possible spearhead into another, Russia type thing, or are they're using it as sound bites for running for re-election? Because I know midterms are coming up, I think next year. So everybody's already starting to get themselves pre-positioned. And I don't know if these are sound bites or if this is what she actually intends to do. But if you're listening to it and your friends, if they're on the other side of the aisle, they're probably not hearing what's really going on. They're hearing the sound bites, and then they believe the sound bites because for some dumb reason they actually trust their politicians. You realize that a politician is a con artist, right? And so therefore participating in the political spectrum means that you're participating as part of the con. And so therefore I kind of try and skirt around it as much as possible because I don't really want to participate in that. And this is exactly what they're doing. Is now the left is trying to do a con job to convince people that what Trump is doing is unethical, illegal. He can't do this. It's fake. He has no authority, all this other stuff. It's just to be able to buy propaganda. Okay. When it comes to this, it's I wouldn't pay too much attention to it, but expect this to be used in the midterms. If you're one of those people that gets into politics, okay. Now let's talk about the headline story. And just as a reminder to some of you that are here, before we get into the headline story, which is we're talking about de-dollarization. We're talking about the fact that we're not being told the truth about how bad it really is for the American dollar and the American economy and our hold on global hegemony. That is in jeopardy, if not already. We're already in second place. They've been telling us this for years, but now it's actually there. And so this is something to be aware of. But just so you guys know, my experience and part of the reason why I stay away from politics and stuff like that is because way before about 6 months before I started this channel, I said something about a certain family in politics that I was not allowed to talk about. and I got deplatformed. It took down my first digital business that I was trying to start. It also took down a channel that was almost monetized, and it took down a couple other channels along with it because I tied them all to one account. And so, if I'm going to keep doing this and take these risks, I do need your support in some way, form, or fashion, and that would be not just in your views, but I need to be able to make sure that if I get deplatformed or if I lose YouTube, that I can still come back and not be completely sunk and back to being homeless, because the this is really the crux of the censorship. Is if you are vulnerable, if you're up and coming, if you're trying to actually make something of yourself. Yeah, she's been under the um she's been under the trailer most of the day. It's like 81 degrees today. But just so you guys know, come on over to Patreon. That way it just makes it a lot easier for me to be able to talk about this. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to kind of skirt around some of the more hot button issues just for my own protection, so I don't get deplatformed. And if I have to filter myself, I will put certain things over on Patreon for those of you that want to hear my unfiltered thoughts. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about this whole tariff war. Well, let me say hi to everybody first and answer some questions. So, what's up, DFH, Occult? Nice to see you guys. Chris, nice to see you. Beth, nice to see you. Um, 1 trillion allocated to military industrial complex. That's all I needed to know for a fact that this is all just a bunch of fakery. Well, no, there's more to it than that, because our power is not in our military. Our power is in our dollar and in our culture. Um, so Samantha, okay. Oops. Oops. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. Hi, Invisible. Nice to see you. All right. Um, so let's okay, so with what Trump is doing with this whole tariff war, what is he really doing? Because we're being told one story. Oh, we're getting taken advantage of by the rest of the world. That's not really true. That's not what's really happening. There's a lot to be able to go against that, to be able to prove it. And we have had people tell us this for at least the last 20 years, is that we're exporting inflation. And in a way in which it's happening, Peter Schiff talked about it most recently on a podcast, on somebody else's podcast, where he was explaining it. So we may have 5% inflation, but because we're sending our dollars abroad and overseas, we're only seeing 2.5% of that, because the rest of that 5% inflation is going to is being exported to the rest of the world. And so they have been buying US dollars and securities as a way to be able to hedge against the inflation, in the same way that you and I would probably buy gold and silver to hedge against the dollar collapse. Well, uh, this with certain things that have happened because of the bipolarness of our politics, because we go from a strong man to a lot lizard back to a strong man. I mean, it's just and the rest of the world sees that, and then they get uneasy. Plus, all of this wokeness and this internal strife that we're having, this is damning us more than any military action that we could do as a society. And this is because of the internal strife and the fight for sole power, in the same way that the United States has been the sole superpower since like 1992. um you've got one party that wants to be the sole superpower as well, and then therefore they control the world. And for the longest time, it's been the Democrats, and it's not been fun, it's not been pleasant. And so it's just, now that we have all this, now those people, if you look, you have China divesting, you have foreigners that are divesting, you have oligarchs that are divesting, because of how volatile our culture and our politics is. Because what made America so attractive was our stability. Had nothing to do with our production. It has to do with our stability and our culture. They like our movies, they like our music, they like our clothes, they like our technology. They don't care about our politics. They like what we send to the rest of the world. The rest of it is to a point, because you've got 41% of nations around the world that say that that they don't like Americans. And out of that 40%, 80% of their problem is with the US government. So not only do you and I have a problem with our government, but now foreigners do. So in order for us to be able to maintain the reserve currency, and what this means is that we've got the shiniest turd in the bowl. Okay. And so by having the shiniest turd in the bowl, we are to a point where our currency is overvalued because we have so many people holding our dollar. But with BRICS, with the Ukraine, Russia, with what's going on with Iran, with the trade war, with the incompetence of Biden, all that stuff, it has brought us to a point where nobody has faith in America. Not because that's what made us a superpower, is that everybody liked us, but nobody likes us anymore. And because of our long wars that we've never had any success in, such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Iraq 2.0, Bosnia, Kosovo. I mean, and since the time I've turned 18, those are all of our failures, and we're having more and more failures. Like Ukraine is becoming a failure. We've put $175 billion. It's either 175 or $475 billion over to Ukraine, and all it's done is brought a stalemate. But Russia has so much more firepower that no matter how much money we throw at it, we still can't beat them. Okay, that should be a wake up call of, hey, look, we're no longer the shiniest turd in the bowl, and the rest of the world, including the global South, is starting to join with Russia and with China because they no longer want to have to deal with the exported inflation and the volatility of our fiat currency because of our bipolar nature in our politics. Okay, because we go from one to another, and it's not helping us anymore. We used to have stability when we went from Bush to Clinton. It was a stable transfer of power. Have you noticed that since we left, or since Bush left office, there has not been a peaceful transition of power in our country? What do you think that signals to the rest of the world? And if the rest of the world is not willing to hold our dollars, but they would rather hold yuan, or they'd rather hold rubles or something else, then that means we're no longer the reserve currency. Nobody wants to do business in our currency. And the reason why this is so important is because ours is the most expensive currency. Everything else is devalued below it. So we get cheaper production from foreigners. And then from that we're able to buy it, but then we send our dollars there in exchange for those goods, and so therefore they hold on to those dollars. But now we're trying to bring all that home, and all we're doing is shooting ourselves in the foot. It's not about production at this point in time. It is really about culture and stability, and that is something that we lack. And I think that Trump, in so many ways, even though he's trying to do the right thing, I think what he's really doing is causing more harm than good. And I think it's an unintentional consequence because he sees himself as the strong man, as the savior, as the only one who has the balls and the courage to be able to do something like this. Okay. So, what do you guys think about this? Just out of curiosity, because I figured I would have a lot more people in here than that. Tuck Sam, Chris, GFH. Okay, Chris. Okay, what's up? Okay, da da da. Smoking outdoors. Nice to see you. All right. So, what do you guys think of the view? Uh, so, I've been doing a lot of lives, a lot of content lately. What do you guys think of it? Okay. So, I'm gonna have you guys, since I have you guys here as my as my regulars. Okay. Uh, and I want you to kind of take into account my style that I have on top of what is most likely going to bring in more viewers. Not only which do you like, but which do you think is going to bring in more viewers so that we can grow this channel into something much bigger. Okay. If type one, if you like the political part or the news thing where I'm doing homesteading in the morning, one news article a day plus a live stream at night. Are you guys getting live stream fatigue? Okay, so tell me, one, if you like that one. Two, if you liked the business side. I know I can get away from I should probably get away from the AI just because of the aversion, But type 2 if you like the business side of what it was that I was doing, and type 3 if you liked the homeless side of what it was that I was doing. Okay, so not only what do you like, but what do you think is going to bring in more people? Because right now, um, I mean, I figure that this. I use something from. Oh, Beth, you like this? I'm surprised. Okay, is it? Do you find that my videos are more informative, biased, or fear mongering? Out of curiosity, one and two. So you like the business side? Okay, Invisible Man, the business side, I'm going to start taking that over to another channel. It is called Business for Beginners, and my handle over there is at Rebel Tuck. Okay, so informative. Okay, informative news and homesteading prepping. I mod a lot of big channels. Okay, so that would yeah. Okay, so that would bring people back in because I've noticed that as soon as I started talking about news, I had one person say, I didn't know you were a Republican. I'm unsubscribing. I'm like, dude, I don't care about any of them. When I don't care who's in office, I all I care about is that they're doing the right thing and the thing that's going to benefit the most people and give us the most freedom of choice. And that transcends any political realm. I want to know what's going on because we right now this is nonstop. Honestly, I'm so tired of this whole tariff thing. I'm surprised you guys aren't. Mm. Ah, all right. It's all a setup. Maybe. So two wings of the same bird. Yeah. Are you kidding? Okay, cool. News. I'm saying. I like it all. Okay. All right, Beth. I'm glad you like it. So because someone votes for a Republican or Democrat doesn't make them a Republican or a Democrat. If we really wanted to start a rebellion, I would be urging people to come together and do a vote of no confidence. So here's the truth about the Constitution. If we want to reorganize the government as the people, and not do it violently, but we want to reorganize the government to as a whole and come together as a country. But that would require unification of both liberal and conservative. So that means you're gonna have to get to know your neighbor and like them a lot. Not like them a lot, but at least have common goals. You want your neighborhood safe. You want to be able to have a decent job and you want to be able to have the most freedom. I think everybody can agree on that. And if we can come together on those three simple freedoms, left and right, and the thing is that the Constitution is a contract. Okay, this is why you've heard me talk about contracting and why I talk about legal history and the Constitution is because contracting it's a legal contract. It's a contract between the people of the several states by proxy of the states, um to abide by this agreement and to unify it. The moment you have less than 50% participation, okay, that's why they've got to create all this hysteria and they've got to be able to, because the thing is nobody's interested in politics anymore. Nobody's interested in it, so they have to create this divisive crap just so that they can get elected. Okay, because if enough people refuse to vote, that by proxy is a vote of no confidence. At that point in time, that says every single one of these politicians are no longer looked at as ruling leaders, as points of authority, and it allows us, the people, to reconstitute ourselves. Okay, that's the peaceful way to do it. And most people don't want, oh, I need to vote because if this guy gets in, if that guy gets in. No, the thing is that's what they're hoping for. That's why the system keeps getting worse and worse and worse because nobody's interested in it. Nobody gives a crying flying shit about it. Everybody just wants to be able to go to work, have enough money to be able to pay for a place to live, have a few bucks left over to go out on the weekends with the girl, or the man, whatever it is, and to be able to have some sort of hope for opportunity and a nest egg after devoting the most productive years of your life to the industrial complex. And when the industrial complex says, yeah, well, we want your labor, but we're not going to give you anything else. And We've co-opted the leaders to make sure that we don't have to give you anything ever again. At what point in time do you consider yourself a slave and say, I no longer want this? That's the reality of the situation. That this is how I um that's how I really feel. Vote for none of the above. No, you don't vote at all. You abstain. Okay, an abstention is the equal to a vote of no confidence. And if enough people abstain and say, "I have no more confidence in the system," that is how we fix it. It has nothing to do with civil war. It has nothing to do with being violent. Violence is going to get accomplish the exact opposite. And if we get, there's 300 plus militias that were geared up, ready to go in the event that Trump did not win the election. Okay. If you guys remember listening to All American Prepper, he's part of a militia. He was the one that was saying, yeah, there's a lot of us that things are going to go down if things don't turn out right. And so now you have a militant group that is in so many ways they're shrouding themselves in the flag, calling themselves patriots when they're nothing more than warlords who are trying to stake their claim to power. And instead of sitting there looking at these people like they're great people and stuff like that, no, we need to realize that there is a peaceful way and there's a violent way, and the only time you take the violent way is when there's no other options. But we've got plenty of options in the peaceful way. Um, and we have ways to hold our politicians accountable. If we sat there and started introducing no names into politics and started just putting them into and started helping them win their primaries, you could have the whole establishment gone in 2 election cycles. Okay, because between the senators and everything else like that, those guys would be anyone that was left would be in such a minority, and it would be a fresh group of people. And if we put that as mandates by sending them there to Congress, I would get behind that. I would go and actually vote for something like that if I knew that there was enough support. But so many people, including my old man, are so politically driven that it doesn't do anything. It's not doing anything, it's creating the problem, and it's causing more issues than not. What's up, Gia? Nice to see you. So, you okay? So, you can control a printer. You can't control gold because it can be mined. But here's the problem with gold and silver. If you even look at bricks, they're diversifying precious metals. They're not going, oh, it's just gold. Why? Because some nations don't have any gold, but they have other resources that are there. So in the same way that the Weimar Republic rebuilt itself after the fall, even though we got Hitler from it, the Weimar Republic, after we realized that they were doing the same thing that our Federal Reserve's been doing for 100 years, we we blew the whistle. The German Deutschmark dropped, and they were. This is where you hear the stories of wheelbarrows full of money. Okay, and the thing was, in order for them to come out of it, for the rest of the world to actually accept their currency so that their people could get goods outside of just their local community, which really wasn't that good, they had to have some sort of collateral. And so what did they use? They used their force. That's why they don't cut their force and they just keep everything kind of just growing up, because that is their sole wealth, is their force. And so that's their collateral. And so when they cut that forest down, even though it's renewable, that actually diminishes the value of their actual currency. Okay. So for them, and so now what you've got is, and this is where BRICS has got it right, is because not everybody has gold and silver, is to give them an opportunity to be able to use their local resources. Here we export gravel and heat. Okay. Oh, I don't know much of what Arizona exports. Well, there's probably a big beef industry here because of the ranchers I see. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a decent beef industry here. And so that is our currency. Our currency is not gold and silver. Gold and silver is just considered rare, and so therefore it gave it value. Okay, so Crispy, I absolutely agree with you. Okay, so nice to meet you. Um, okay. Did you say write in no names? No, not write in no names. I like you instead of right. Well, yeah, you could elect Mickey Mouse. Everybody, we could say, okay, everybody who wants to join this rebellion, um, do a write-in candidate and type in Mickey Mouse, and let's see if we can get Mickey Mouse elected across the whole United States. Make it a joke, make it a joke and see how many people, because I mean, you had people that mobilized for GameStop and that whole thing, so it's not like it can't be done. And a lot of people, if they could poke at the system and kind of have their own little deviant giggle, they're going to be happy. But no, what I'm saying is, in the primary, look at the no names, quit looking at the, because what it is, so when I was in the federal building in Portland. That was one of my my second janitorial gig ever. And I was working in the federal building, and I was part of a union, and they would send out they would send out a little newsletter telling you who to vote for, who was good for the union, and da, 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 da. But my grandfather at the time gave me a subscription to the New American, so I was able to be fully informed. I actually became the guy that informed everybody else, and they're like, well, who do we vote for? I'm like, because I was the most informed guy, so they wanted to know my opinion. But what I notice is that they will, at the top, they will put the establishment candidates, and they will work them up, and the ones that are not favorable, they will kind of talk down. And so the ones that don't seem like they're favorable are probably the ones you want to look at, because what they're doing is going against the grain. The reason why Trump is as volatile and destructive as he is because not only is he a populist candidate, but he's a direct threat to the established power. And by selecting people that the established power is not happy with, it is a way to push back without a single shot fired. So, what's up, Rails? So, I have no faith left on the government and the system. Yeah, well, that's why it's not we the people. It never was we the people. Population, I think it was 127 or 89. Can't remember. But you got to realize, the American Revolution was fought on behalf of American oligarchs because they didn't like the taxes. They didn't like the fact that they were getting taxed, and then they had no say in the government like the rest of the oligarchs. And so therefore they riled us up and got us to go independent so that they could have their own little fiefdom. So it was never we the people. This is what they convinced you. The closest thing to we the people was the Articles of Confederation, but give it what, 83, no, from 1776 to 1787. So 11 years is all is the longest amount of freedom that we've ever had in this country, true freedom, where we weren't being ruled by our government, but we were ruling ourselves, and we were self-accountable and self-responsible and self-sufficient because nobody was there to help you unless you were part of a community. That's the way. That was what the Articles of Confederation. The government had no teeth, couldn't do anything. It was up to the local community. The sheriff had more power. The local law enforcement had more power. The government was nothing more than an administrative service, which is pretty much what it is right now. But it had no authority to do anything, because that was part of the Declaration of Independence. Is every man has the right to govern himself until they decide, oh well, that doesn't benefit me anymore. Mm. All right. Um, okay. But yeah, taxes are unconstitutional. No, they're not. Smoking. If you look out there, if you actually look, taxes are not unconstitutional. That was the whole reason the Constitution was written, was because of taxes. If they would have modified the Articles of Confederation for two things, which is given the government the power to lay and collect taxes to pay its debts, and the centralized currency, so that everybody was working on the same currency, because those were the currency problem. The second colonials is what caused the Constitution to be written in the first place. All of our creditors didn't have any faith in the American currency, because there was so many competing currencies. There was no unified currency, so therefore how were they ever going to get paid back unless it was in gold and silver? And we were doing fiat currency because it worked in tandem with gold and silver. Okay, it didn't work solely by itself. Okay, this is the misnomer. This is the failed lesson in history, is that we did not learn that the reason why the first colonials were successful was because it was in tandem with gold. You paid your taxes in gold, and you did internal commerce in fiat currency, i.e., colonials. Okay, but those were the two things that the Constitutional Convention, or the so-called Constitutional Convention that we have. Those are the two things that they were sent there to fix, and instead of fixing it, they wrote a whole new document, which is why they kept it secret, because they knew they were committing treason. But the thing is that they were monarchists who wanted to reestablish the British crown, but with an American spin on it. And then they wrapped themselves in the cloak of federalism. The true federalists were the anti-federalists. You guys are getting a dose of Professor Tuck. So what do you guys think? Okay. Hard work is a scam. The only way by which a person can be it's by rich way. He will have to think like a rich to become rich. No, no, I disagree with you, Jaya. I think that is a lie that we are fed. Success is what you choose success is. If you look at a monetary output as success, well, then that's your success. If you look at being a housewife and building a functional family, that is success. Because we're measuring success by monetary output instead of quality of life, instead of being able to do what it is that you enjoy, but be able to make enough to be able to survive. um, that is true success, and that is what is alive and will always be alive. So I don't think it's about thinking about being rich, unless that's what you want, is to be rich. But money money brings a whole new set of problems. I've rubbed elbows with millionaires and billionaires. I've even met a Rothschild in my travels. I have met OG of San Antonio Latin Kings. I've met Aryan Nation Mules. I've met Gypsy Jokers. I've met Hell's Angels. I've met all kinds of people along the way in my travels. And, this is just, I will tell you that it's not, it's about doing what it is that you want to do and being happy doing it and getting good at it. Okay. That's the thing. And then if what you're doing isn't going to bring in enough money, that's fine, as long as it brings in enough money to be able to pay for you. So, for example, I'm passionate about being in the digital economy and having a YouTube channel. So, as long as it makes sure that I have can make my property payment, I'll figure out how to make the rest, because this is my quality of life. This is my riches right here, a piece of land that I can call mine. And if you guys would like a piece of land for yourself, you should reach out to Stephanie at openairproperties.net. Tell her Friar Tuck sent you, by the way. So, no, Tuck, I've seen many people on YouTube who are fake. They become rich on YouTube. Yeah, well, because in order to become truly rich, you have to be willing to subjugate, exploit, and swindle, and be able to justify it and say, well, it's legal. That is how the rich get rich. So yeah, but those are fake people, and their riches will not last them. Either that, or they'll have a coming to Jesus moment, and they'll be like, okay, okay. So they showed fake videos and got views and became rich, and then they have billions of money. Um, Yeah, well, you know what? There's always going to be scammers. Right now with AI, so adjust what you view. Perhaps your algorithm could help expose you to more positivity. Um, yeah, that's true. Uh, Perception is reality, and if you choose to see the negative side, then that's all you'll see. And YouTube is nothing more than a giant echo chamber telling you what you want to know to begin with. But here's. Um, it's just like I said. Yeah, I think Beth says it. Algorithm is based upon you make content approved by algorithm, they'll put you out. It's not necessarily approved by the algorithm as much as people like to think. What? Okay, here's the overall motivation for every social media platform. I want your attention. How long can I keep you on this platform? How many different reasons can I get you to come to this platform and spend the most amount of time? Because the more time you spend means the more ad revenue that I'm going to get, because the more the more advertisers are willing to pay, because you're able to your platform keeps attention for much longer. So the things like that. Hey, what's up, Bucknut? That is the truth, and that is the reality of of how the YouTube algorithm works. So if you play into the hysteria, so for example, the title that I used today, holy shit. Okay, you realize that Redacted uses that. They have like, I don't know, almost 2 million subscribers. They do news all the time. And I've noticed that once they started doing that, their crap just went up. I don't like it, but you know what? It's very clickety. You're like, oh, I gotta know, I can't help it. It kind of, plays into that. And so there's two ways to succeed. Either you get enough people that want to, hi all, just got home from Girl Scouts. It's Pinewood Derby time. Well, hey, at least it wasn't Nambla. Um, I'm a creator, also a mod. I myself have lost 700 in one day because the topic frowned upon by algorithm, hence why they monetize. Um, well, the algorithm is dictated by your ad revenue is dictated by advertisers, and the algorithm is dependent upon everything else like that. Like I said, I lost a lot of subscribers today just by putting out that thing about Elizabeth Warren. I'm like, okay, wow, I didn't realize that was going to be a big deal. But you know what? When you talk about hot button topics and hot button issues, you've got to expect people that are going to get unruly and out of control. No, Tuck, I won't join NAM without your referral link. Oh, good throwback. All right. Uh, exactly. You trickled to the algorithm. I don't think so. Because what have I had? 17 yesterday. I had 20. Um, if I triggered the algorithm, we'd have about 50 people in here by now. That's my opinion. I don't really think that we would have that many people, but it is what it is. Um, but I'm glad that you guys like this. I need your guys' support so that if I sidestep, because like I said, I've had a channel that's been deleted. And if I get this channel deleted because I sidestep, it could put me homeless again unless I have some sort of support from my fan base that helps me ensure that at least I don't lose everything and I can restart and bring you guys all right back in and we can rebuild after the screw up. Because I did the same thing after my first loss, but I didn't have the support behind me at the time, other than being able to stay with my parents. I've been a sub a while. Yes, I know you have them smoking outdoors. You've even entered into my monthly contest last month, I think. I'm browsing open air properties, looking for property. Well, thanks, Matthew. Um, so, oh yeah, Stephanie is a really good person. I want to drive as much business to her as possible, because if you want to get into a point now where, because right now, if if you could if you could spend 6 months living in your car, working your job to pay off the land, okay, because you're going to pay anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 for a piece of land, okay, maybe a little bit more depending upon the area and stuff like that. But let's just say you spend $8,000 to $12,000 on a piece of land. You save up 6 months and just kind of do something like that. Now you have a piece of land, you have something put off, and now your dependency on income goes away. That means that's the reason why the poor people are able to survive a lot of the crap, is because, well, as long as I have a piece of land, I at least I got a place to be. And so this is something, as much as I don't want to be able to have so many neighbors, I'd rather have my subscribers as neighbors. You know, at least I know I can get along with you, and I'll probably hear echoes of my live stream going on. Either that, or everybody will be over here, and I'll have a live studio audience. What do you think? The town that a YouTuber built. Now that would be cool. So talk about rainbow pooping gay unicorns and watch the views pour in. Yeah, probably rails. um, okay. Lots of property in the Southwest. I'd be happier in the Southeast. Also, I settled my insurance case. I have revenue. basically. Nice, Matthew. Glad to hear that. I think I remember our conversation before. Um, well, you know what? You can go wherever you want. She does Arkansas, Colorado, and Arizona. So those are the three. So if you want to do Arkansas, do Arkansas. If you want something in a different state, reach out to her, tell her I sent you, and tell her you're looking for somebody in this or for somebody in this state. And if she has connections or networks, she will refer you to those people. Because quite frankly, the best business you're ever going to do is based upon a referral. If somebody and that's why I want to be really, really particular about how I refer things. That's why I'm very I'm very particular on whenever I mention something or somebody, I stand behind it. I've used it myself and so on and so forth. And I stand behind Stephanie 100%. I think she's an amazing person and she does great business. And you don't have to worry about any shady BS or some, miser Scrooge that has no heart. She's a human being, and that's important. Um, hey, what's up, Carlos? Nice to see you. It's zoning issues. That's the biggest thing for me. Well, you got to tell her what you're looking for, and she'll tell you. Because I told her we had goats. Because I called her on a Craigslist ad. So I called her phone number. And I said, hey, I saw your ad. Da, da, da. We got goats. She's like, oh, well, hey, I've got a place over here. She already knows the zoning laws, so she can help put you in the right property. Honestly, she picked this property out for me. She said, this is going to be your best property for you. I said, okay. I took it on good faith. And I have been 100% satisfied with this property because I'm on the edge of town, but on the other side, it's only a 3.5 mile walk into town. I'm basically in the center, so I can go 3.5 miles one way for one part of town, or 3.5 miles the other way for the other part of town. And I can get my mail, and I pretty much go one way now because there's no need for me to go down into the south end of town. And so, therefore, she put me because I told her that I was bipedal. I didn't have a car, but my girlfriend had some goats. And so, we needed a place to put the goats. And so she said, here, this is zoned for cattle. So, like I said, reach out to her and tell her. What's up, Kung Fu? Nice to see you, buddy. I'm looking to should a tiny home, but starting in an RV to start. Well, Matthew, I will tell you that part of owner financing, and this will be across the board, doesn't matter who it's with, they want a certain portion of the land paid off before you put anything permanent on there. Okay, because if for some reason they have to exit you off the property, you have to leave the property in the same position in which you did, especially if you are doing like what I'm doing. So like that's why I'm very particular about not trashing my area, keeping it as clean as I can, not bulging out, not creating things that can't be undone, things like that, because it's important. So starting off in an RV, once you pay it off, then do your tiny home, because then you'll be able to you'll be able to afford it, because these sheds are anywhere from like 350 to 550 $600 a month. Okay, they're not cheap. And if you want to build yourself one, you better do it in the late spring, early summer, and you better get it done in under 3 months, because all the materials and the cost and everything else like that, it's going to go up. All right, so that's something to consider when doing something like that. Okay, let's see here. Can you build on your land? Do you have access to utilities? I do have, if I want to have power here, or if I want to have water come up here, they've already got the water mains in. They've already like, if you were to see behind me, you'd actually see the power lines. I walk by them when I go into town. So I have the ability for public utilities, because I'm in Concho, but I'm not in Concho. I'm in one of the growing suburbs that they're waiting to absolve into the larger city, which is pretty much up by the post office. Okay, so yeah, I do have access to that, and I can build on the land once I pay it more than halfway off. But I don't want to build on the land until it's fully paid off. That's my personal rule, because the money that I'm saving from not having to make a property payment can be made to can be made to put into materials that I need. So okay, let's see here. I have a 20-foot fifth wheel. Build a tiny home on a flatbed trailer. Yeah, and that's one good way to do it. Okay. Hi, Carlos. Okay. All right. Hold on. I've tried to light this cigarette 3 times, but I get on a ramble. Just so you know, I'm exhausted. I got woke up by my old man this morning at 6 a.m., which is 9 his time. I'm so glad he still lives by the rule. Don't call anybody until after 9 a.m. Because, yeah, I called him back and he's like, did I wake up? I'm like, it's 6 a.m. here. But apparently, a couple days ago, he flipped his fifth wheel, or not his fifth wheel. He flipped his side by side, and yeah, he got a pretty bad head injury. So um, it sounds like he's doing well, but I'm concerned for him. Regardless of our differences, he's my old man. You know, um, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I've been going since I woke up this morning, and I released the video, did that. And then as soon as we did that, I got everything ready, got my phone charged so we could get out the door in there. When I got back home from whatchamacallit, from when I got back home from town, I should have taken a nap, but I got back at like 10:30. I'm like, it's too early for a nap. And then I just got to working all day. So tomorrow's video is already up and loaded. So if you're a member over on Patreon, which means you're a Rebel Watcher or higher, then you will have access to that video. I think it's a very good video. Honestly, I made it too quickly. I think I should have been more explanatory, but the thing is it takes a lot of energy, even though I'm not having to do like as much research, because I have AI as a tool to kind of help me along with my research, verify facts, all this other stuff, get my sources, be able to understand it fully. It's helping me do a large amount of research that would have taken me a week to a month and get it done in a matter of a few hours, while still kind of like putting it together. And it was pretty nice to be able to do it, but it still takes a lot of energy, because just the thinking, the reading, the reacting, the back and forth and stuff like that. So and for those of you that think, oh, that's bad, you shouldn't do that, well, even Glenn Beck, who is, I think that he is equal to Rush Limbaugh, in my opinion. I grew up on Rush Limbaugh. I went to go live with my dad after Rush Limbaugh had been on the air for like maybe 2 years. And I've listened to Rush Limbaugh all the way up until he retired, what was it, like almost 10 years ago? So for almost 30 years, that was a long time ago. So, um, but yeah, I think the Glenn Beck is the closest thing, and even he's using it, but he talks about how he uses it, which is he does source check. He allows it to kind of help him understand what's going on, but then goes in and source check. So that's what I'm working on as well, and that takes a lot of energy out. And then putting a daily video out, because a lot of what I see from like Popular Preparedness and Pinball Prepper is they just kind of get on and they wing it, and they talk about a subject. They might do a couple of Google searches to understand it a tiny bit more, but there's not really a lot about it. It's mostly opinion. And I don't really want to be known for opinion. I want to be known for bringing controversial facts to the forefront, giving you something alternative to think about instead of all the other stuff. So let's see. Can you just pitch a tent in Arizona, Apache land? You buy or build a teepee like the Indians did, or just is that illegal? Well, I don't know about on Indian land, but if I wanted a teepee here, I could make myself a teepee, but I like having a trailer. So I miss listening to Rush. He had a radio talk show here in Florida till he passed. Yes, I know. Um, yeah, he was based out of Naples, I think. Oh no, he didn't. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm worried about. The doctors told him he could go to sleep, but I'm like, dude, if you've lost blood, you shouldn't go to sleep. Just somewhere warm year round, basically. Live in Massachusetts. Um, You'll get the cold, but probably not nearly as brutal as Massachusetts here. Because I mean, if you go look at some of my older stuff over the last month, we just finally got out of the final freeze on Sunday. Like we had 3 days of snow and ice, but then it all melts and it's up to 80 degrees now. So I mean, I think it's nice here. I think for the weather and the price of land, this is going to be your best option. These are the kind of questions I have about it too. Like, where can I buy land and just pitch nice canvas tent on it? If you're doing, if you, here's the thing. It really doesn't have to do with the ordinances. It has to do with the enforcement of the ordinances and whether or not they're trying to grow and stuff like that. If this place blows up, like let's say Casa Verde, then if I don't have stuff in the works to be able to get to get off my camper, then they're gonna force me off my land so that somebody who will come in and develop the land will come do it. So you have that risk anywhere, but especially as they develop up, especially if it becomes a popular area. So that's one thing that you have to worry about. But for the most part, everybody here lives off grid. You've got to go to an area that is, at least 30 to 50 miles away from the nearest town. Decent sized town with the Walmart we're talking about. And you got to do something like that. I quite frankly, everywhere that in my opinion, I don't know this for a fact. You'll have to ask her, but I think that Stephanie, pretty much all of her properties are a lot like this in different states throughout the country. So, but again, you got to go look at it. You got to call her and ask her. She knows so much about her property. She does a lot of research on them. She knows her property so she can understand her clients' needs so that she can put them in the right property. And, as somebody who took her on blind faith, she did a fantastic, amazing job in putting me in the right property, in the right area, and everything else like that. So I'm happy. And I know you will be too if you go talk to her. All right. So, anyways, guys, that's it for tonight. Thanks for being here, Rebels. And I will see you tomorrow evening. Or actually, no. I'll see you tomorrow to do some work in the on the rock garden. But before I go, because I know some of you are still here, let me take you and show you a little bit of what I've done to the rock garden. Okay. So, oh, my legs. Oh, that walk today really did me in. Ah, my I've been I've been stationary way too long, but I'll show you guys my rock garden, what we'll work on tomorrow. So I got to work on getting it up a few feet, or I want to get it up at least a foot because I want the rock wall to be I want it to be kind of like a wall to stop from the wind, because the wind will be coming from this direction. Oh, the wind will coming from this direction during the summer, but I have these trees here to be able to block it, so therefore it will offer some sort of protection. But if I build the wall, if I oops, sorry guys, I'm kind of not paying attention. Okay, I hate that it zooms in on everything. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So this is the rock garden. It's actually a lot bigger. I think I'm gonna make one more on top of this. I think that's all I'm gonna make for right now. Because I want to experiment, see how it works. There's no point in putting all this effort in if I'm gonna have to redo it. So that means the next model or the next year I will have a better setup. But I'm gonna see how this works, and I'm gonna have to figure out places to be able to harvest some dirt. Um, from what I understand, under the trees are good, but I don't want to take too much from the trees because they need that to be able to stay in the ground. Now, it will be nice. I'm gonna start pruning some of these trees, but I got to figure out a way to start either doing some burning or turning it into mulch or something. So, but this is what I'm gonna be working on tomorrow morning for a little bit. Um, you know, okay. Tell Joanna hi. Haven't seen her. Um, yeah, she's been at work. Um, I haven't talked to her today. I think I talked to her yesterday. We had a little bit of a chat, but yeah, I'll tell her hi next time I talk to her. Let's see. Seems like a waste for a mixed drink, but with the now use Russell 15 year. Oh, okay. Oh wow. High glass, frosted 1 cube. I'll be there in your next live. Take care. Thanks, Carlos. Okay, Lantos or Eagle. Okay, okay. So I see. All right. Um, you know what though? I'm so glad that I'm able to be stationary because the older I get, the longer it takes for your body to recover. But I'm sure most of you people know that because I think my crowd is about my age. The average demographic is 35 to 55 that watches this channel. So start composting tuck. Browns and greens make um, good compost. Think grass clippings and sawdust. Um, we don't have any grass for me to harvest. Night, Tuck and Sam. Night, night. All right, guys. But that's good to know. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you in the morning.